friends. I am back a little sooner than I expected. I am digging deeper into the Bible, and I got stuck on the very next passage from when I talked to you last. Genesis 17 about the circumcision. Ooh, Lordy. So, I first of all, I want to say I'm not a theologist. I don't play one on TV. I'm just a woman trying to dig into the meaning of the Bible rather than just reading it like a book. I am trying to understand I've come to the thought process that there are no words in the Bible by accident, right? Every sentence means something. And I'm just digging through it, trying to understand and grow closer to God through that understanding. So, all that being said, today we're talking about circumcision. Woohoo! An odd topic, and only because, what's the point? The covenant with Abraham that God makes. Well, he says, do this. And I want you to do it and all your children to do it, do it on the 8th day after a child's born. Now, if it symbolizes, because reading into what's the point, you get this message that it symbolizes the covenant, giving up sin, yada, yada, yada. Well, that's fine, but infants can't make that choice, right? So why would you do it? And I understand. It's easier as an infant than adult men. Okay, I'm not glancing over that. Okay, so but my point is, why would God ask us to do this to children when children have free will? It doesn't mean anything in that aspect. It's not like baptism where you make the choice to be baptized and follow Christ. So why are we doing this? Okay, so dug a little deeper, and I looked up, the first thing I did was I looked up, are there other meanings for the Hebrew word that means circumcision? And it's a word, I'm going to try to say Makai. I'm sure it's wrong. Then the whole ritual of it is Brit Makai, which is the Jewish ritual of the circumcision. Okay, so, and then God promises to Abraham that it's going to it will flow through, his seed. There's a whole, if you look it up, there's this whole thing about, it going through the seed of life, going through the circle, that it's a lot. Okay. And then I'm like, that's somebody else doing the thinking for me and doing the assumptions for me. I want to understand for myself. So I started picking the words apart. And what I came to is that word also means the word. Okay. So on one hand, the Hebrew word means circumcision. On the other hand, the Hebrew word means the word. So now I started thinking, okay, now that's one of the names of God, right? I'm going to swing over here because I wrote it down. I hope I'm not making you seasick. But, in John 1, I've got notes because I wouldn't remember if I needed to. So in John 1, it talks about, actually John 1:1 talks about the word was God. Okay, so it's I'm not going to read the whole sentence because I can't read and do this with the camera. I'm going to make you guys sick. But go read it. It talks about the word was with God, and then it says the word was God. And then in John 1:14, it says the word was made flesh, and it's talking about Jesus, right? So in all of this, and then if you look up, the definition of a covenant, it is a promise. So it is not that you're not promising your kid's going to do good. Okay, which is, if you went through the mechanics of it, we're circumcising children, or as part of a covenant to God, we have no ability to control what our kids do because God gave those kids free will, yada, yada, yada. So what does this really mean? And it's actually going the other way. It is a representation of God's promise to us. Think of it as the rainbow, after the flood. It's God's side of the covenant. It's his promise to us, and his promise is fulfilled through Jesus, and because that word circumcision also means the word, which we come to know means God. And then we come to know the word is Jesus is God. Jesus is the word made in the flesh by John 1:14. So if you follow that train of thought, it's not just a covenant that Abraham spoke up for his family. It was God telling him they need a reminder. They need to remember that I've promised them this. And and it makes sense that it's the men, because the men are the leader of the household, whatever, like you can go down those roads and really dive into why, but just the general thing. It's just a promise, and it's a representation of that promise. Anyways, that's what I learned today in my deep dive. I hope that you guys found it interesting. I added to my page of the names of God the word, because it wasn't there before, and now it is. And I love to hear your comments about what you think. If I'm completely off my rocker, let me know in the comments. And if you have more to add, more scriptures to back that up, let me know in the comments. I'll talk to you later. Have a blessed day. Bye.